Okay, for today's fixing bugs and stuff, we are fixing some lamps outside. We're going from this to, let's go over here, to this. Okay everyone, this is the lamp that I pulled from the front of my house. It's gone bad. It's the LED board that's gone bad, and what I've done is hooked it up temporarily to a plug here, and I wanted to show you how it looks. I set this, there's 3 settings here: sensor, off, and light. And I'm not sure if you can see it. And here you can see the LED board has failed. Let me turn off the light here. You can see it clearly that it has failed. And there are 2 wires in here, a black and a white. And that's basically a neutral and power. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the LED board with a regular light socket. Now I'm going to leave a description here below and let you know where I got these from. I got them from Home Depot, but I don't know the part number, and I will post that here. And I'm going to show you how to basically still save the light, and the sensor and everything else will work with just a standard light socket. Okay, at first I'm going to remove those 3 screws in here. There's like a plastic dome. We're gonna get to those first. As you can see, this little clear dome. This reminds me of the game Trouble. Just hit it. Yeah, it was like one of those trouble pieces. But we don't need these. You can throw that away. Throw away the hardware. Don't need that. The next thing will be to remove the LED board. Will be next. I'm gonna do that now. And now it's loose. These screws I'll hold on to. Might as well use the dome for something. Put them in the dome. So now we got that loose. Now this is not moving anywhere. That was just to hold the LED board. So we can get, and the LED board has wires that goes all through the fixture. So if you need to get some more slack to pull that out, it's these 2 right here. If we need more, so we'll just push them in like so. You can see it moves the LED board, and just pull on it. You don't have to pull on it hard, just enough to pull it back. Now, all that white stuff in there, it's just thermal grease. They put it on the back of the LED board to disperse or to distribute the heat path, the thermal path, basically, to keep the LED cool. So that way the LEDs don't burn up, but in this case they did burn up. So next step we'll do is we'll cut the black and white wires. Try to clean this puppy. Yeah. This stuff, it's not that fun. All right, we're clean. Looks good to me. Next, we'll take out these 3 screws. Now these 3 screws are what's holding the fixture together up here, because this splits. It splits here. So those are the 3 screws that are holding it in there. So we'll take those out. Save these screws. You're gonna use them later. In fact, let's put them in my dome. right in the doom. And this is what you have. So now you have these two wires here, and you're going to hook those up to your new socket, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Okay, what I end up doing is buying one of these guys from Home Depot. You can see the part number there. I wasn't sure if I was just gonna throw this in at the time, but I've already done one of these. So what I did was okay, you have these wires here. You may have to trim these wires when you start putting them, connecting them to here. So we're gonna pull these out. Actually, it's all connected. You're gonna have to remove this nut to pull this whole unit out. Okay, just remove everything else with it. This comes right out. And you have the socket and this nut here, or this screw. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this. If you can see it, we're going to remove that screw. Be careful, save the nut. Nut fell somewhere. There it is. Save the nut. And what I want to do is remove this out of the way. Screw this out all the way. There we go. I want to remove this bracket. The reason why I want to remove this bracket is I'm going to cut it in this direction here. And I'll show you that. Cut it here. I'm going to cut it along this line. You can cut it using a Dremel, a coping saw. It's not very thick material. As you can see, it's a little twisted, so we'll fix that. But you just need this flat piece there, but you don't need the rest of this here. So I'm just going to cut this. Pretty easy, pretty quick. You can toss this guy. Next thing you're going to do is mark it to add a hole. So I'm just going to mark it. Try to come off about here to mark it. I'll show it to you here in a minute. About right there. Okay, so now we have our hole drilled into this bracket here. That should fit our number 6. Put it off to the side. And what I'm going to do here is going to center the socket on top of this bell here, as you can see. And then I'm going to mark it. So you're going to center it the best way you can. I know they have like these little raised bosses here, but we're going to try to center it as best we can, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut a hole in this. So I'm going to mark it as I go around. Doesn't have to be perfect, but what we're going to do is we're going to cut later on inside of that white circle. Attach this bracket to the socket. Make sure you route these down. They have like a little notches in here, so if you put anything flat here, it won't pinch these wires. So I'm going to attach this here and see if I can get this screw on. Let's see. This seems, it's kind of threaded into this bracket here, and you add this nut here. Okay, now we're ready to make a hole for this guy here. So I'll show you how I'm going to do it. There's several ways you can do it. If you don't have a Dremel to get the hole done, you can, it's painstaking, but you can do it. Just make multiple holes using a drill, and then just using a small saw to get in there and cut it out. Coping saw will work good too as well, but I'm going to use a Dremel. Seems it's the best thing I can use at this point, and that'll be next. I'm going to use a Dremel to cut off the center of this. I'm going to cut a little bit at a time, and eventually I'll get the hole, but I want to stay within this, the white circle. I don't want to go outside of that. It'd be too large. Here we go. The biggest, I'm going to make the circle, then I'm going to hit it with a die grinder to get what I need. Just want to make sure I get this through the best way I can. Don't want the hole too big, but enough to clear this socket. I attach my die grinder here, and I'm just gonna go about this and just keep touching. Keep testing the socket. Make sure it slips in. It fits. Fits. Got some room in there. Don't be worried if you got a little bit of space. We're gonna end up putting silicone on this, but the idea is to lay it flat here. That way it goes inside here with no issues. That way it goes inside of this guy. This plate goes up against this plate with no issues. So that's where we're at. Right now we're going to put it here. I want to leave the socket about there. I'm going to drill a hole for this here. It's in between these two holes. Each of these holes are spaced about 120 degrees apart. I'm going to go in between the 120 degrees. So let me mark that. That way we can drill the hole. Just mark it. Gonna drill this hole. Perfect. Now I can attach a screw and nut in here, so that way it'll be stable. And let's flip it over. Let's see how it looks on the other side. That's basically what it's going to look like on the inside. Don't worry about the gaps here. As you can see, we're going to silicone those. Just make sure you use a silicone that's non-conductive. Most silicones are. But I'll show you what silicone I'm going to be using. And for now, I'm just going to install that screw and nut. Install the screw and nut here, as you can see. Let's turn off to the side. See these bosses that are sticking up? I don't know if you can see them or not. But I want to make sure that when this is all put together, that there's some space in here for the wires. 'Cause that's where the wires are going to go. And that should be enough for these bosses. It's not going to pinch it. But I think this screw is going to be sticking up a little too far. So I'm going to cut that with the Dremel, cut it back a little bit. I might as well cut that one too while I'm at it. Oh yeah, and I forgot. Should have mentioned, be sure you wear safety gear as you're doing this. Gloves, glasses, anything that, even a face shield. I would wear all that stuff. There's a lot of sparks flying here. Also be familiar with your Dremel or any tool that you're using. You don't want to slip and injure yourself. And while you're cutting these out, be careful not to cut the wires as well. So the next step, we're going to clean up, and we're going to start working on electrical and putting this thing back together. Okay, at this point, cleaned up best we can. These wraps here on these wires are for thermal. It keeps the wire insulation from melting. Also keep it from being cut on a sharp edge, so push them down as far as you can here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut the wire here so we can add these butt connectors, and then after we add the butt connectors here, we might have to add the butt connectors to this guy first, since it's really short, be a lot easier to get to, and then we'll connect them to these wires, then we'll fish them in here. Okay, we crimped our butt connectors on. Still a little pull test, make sure they don't come out. And now we're ready to assemble everything together. What you want to do is get these wires fished in to this area, this pocket here. There's nothing here, I mean it's just blank. So that's what we're going to do. Fish them through, and then lay this on top, just to check if it goes together. If you feel if it's not going on there correctly, it's some of the wires are not being fished in correctly. So let's see here as I play with this. It goes on there pretty good. First, matte silicone, and the silicone I use, it's Silicone Max. I got this from Home Depot as well. So we're gonna put this on. This should be electrically insulated. Any silicone should be. So we're gonna use the Silicone Max, put on here to seal it, make sure no water goes through, and it should be fine. Should be good to go. Just want to fill in the gaps. Don't worry about it being too much. This is good stuff. Just fill in the gaps. Be fine. Let's put the top back on. Fish this through the best way we can. Put it in there. That one in there. Put that on top. Just want to fish your wires through correctly. Leave no gaps. You don't want to. Also, don't want to pinch them as well. Let's see. Get down here, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Just making sure the wires are not pinched. Anyway, they're not. Pretty clear. So I'm going to flip this over and add the screws. I'll line up. Okay. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm lining up the bell, adding my first screw. I'm tightening it down. I have to tighten down super tight, but snug. And then you may have to turn the bell a little bit to get the other screw on. You can see some of the silicone has come out, which is good. It's all good. It's all good here. Put this one on. Tighten it snug. Not to be super tight. And let me put the last screw on. Hopefully you can see this. I apologize if you can't. My camera's not the greatest. This one's snug. And you want to take a paper towel and just clean up in here. Any silicone that's passed through. Still has to dry. As you can see, it looks pretty good. So clean up a little bit. Hey everyone, I plugged it back in. Connected all the wires. Also added a light bulb, as you can see here, and let's see if it works. Just turn it on, and it works beautifully. Let's see if the sensor works. Yep, sensor works as well. Sensor came on. So that's basically it, guys. That's how we were able to connect this all together. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and like, and I'll be adding more videos, whether it be for Volkswagens, bugs, or just stuff around the house. Thanks for watching.